Right, well, I guess I'll just get started, whether the stream wants to work or not. I'm recording it anyway, so that should be cool. All right, so hopefully everyone can hear me and everything. Let's see if we can get this to go ahead. Yep, right. Well, yeah. So thanks everyone for coming. Hopefully, everyone's keen. I've tried to make it as interesting as possible. So hopefully it's a bit of a challenge, or yeah. So hopefully it's hard enough for some of you, and hopefully it's easy enough as well for some of you guys that might be newer. I think it should be good, hopefully. But if you find any issues with anything, let me know, like on Discord or like on the Discord is good. And then any kind of information that I release will be either emailed or it will be put onto the website, generally speaking. I'll go through some more information in a minute. I was just going to go through just importantly, website will be where files go, as well as the GitHub. And I'll like try to email, or I'll try to like do a wide variety of communications if there needs to be anything. And if there's anything, I know some of you guys are pro programmers, and I'm not really one of those necessarily. So if you do find kind of any things that might be like erroneous behavior or stuff like that, definitely let me know, because we like to have a fair competition, so to speak. So that's cool. And I guess we'll begin the presentation, kind of. So as you may know, our sponsor for the algo-jam is IMC. So they've been really generous in giving us $1,000, which we've put completely to the prize money, which is great, I think. And there is only going to be one winner, but I think it's kind of cooler to have one winner with like $1,000. So whoever that is, or your team, we can distribute it. We can figure out exactly how that goes. But the winning team, will be $1,000. So I think that's pretty cool for our first year running this competition. And then next year we can see if we can get some more maybe. So no, that's awesome. And luckily the union has been generous enough to bless us with some money for food. So there'll be free food on today, as you probably already are eating it. And there's also going to be food Saturday, Sunday. That'll be like kind of like a sausage sizzle thing. And on Monday we'll do like catering. So hot food catering, that basically means like a bunch of sausage rolls and like pies and like, I don't know, stuff like that. So that'll be cool. We definitely over ordered. So definitely bring people to eat all the food. That'll be super cool. And IMC will be there on Monday and on Tuesday. So they'll be there for the presentations on Monday. And they'll also be there on Tuesday because we're having our industry poker night. So definitely get a ticket to industry poker, because we're doing $1,000 prize pool for that as well. So that'll be super cool. So we've got 2 days of like $1,000 giveaways. So that's awesome. I'll just turn my volume up now, and let's see if we can get IMC. We've got Siobhan here, I think. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. All righty. 1 second, I'm just getting it to go to the, let's see. Here we are. We're on the screen now.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, we can hear you. Can you guys hear that, or a bit louder is good? Louder? That's okay? Cool, yeah. Good to go. I'd like to welcome IMC, I guess, and they're generous sponsors for the event.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max. So we just wanted to pop on today just to welcome you guys all to the event. We're really excited to be hosting if I believe correctly, Max, the first Algo Jam that has been run. So super excited to be a part of this and to see everyone at the presentation night on Monday, hopefully. For those of you who don't know us, we are IMC Trading. Perhaps I should introduce myself first. Apologies. My name is Siobhan. I am the recruitment specialist here at IMC. I do look after our Queensland region, so I am on campus quite often, especially during careers fairs. But getting into it, because I don't want to take up too much of your time today. IMC Trading, for those of you who don't know us, we are a high frequency trading firm and we operate in the global market. Our, I guess, competitive advantage and the way we do trade is through our super advanced technology. So we really leverage our technology in order to do what we do, which is why we place such a great emphasis on our engineers as well as, of course, our traders. In terms of where we operate currently, our main offices are in Chicago, Mumbai, Sydney, and Amsterdam is our head office. There's always opportunities for global mobility. It happens quite often here at IMC. So that's something as well to be, I guess, aware of if anyone was interested in exploring things further at IMC. In terms of our trading, we I guess, do a whole heap of different forms of trading. I'm not going to go into everything, but you guys can see here the different types of trading that we do. Our bread and butter is, of course, market making. However, we do as well. And then moving on to our technology, we have different layers of engineering here at IMC. Everything works together in order to allow us to trade. So we will have Isaac at the presentation evening, who is an engineer here at IMC. And I think it would be a great opportunity for anyone interested to ask him any questions in relation to our technology at IMC. So moving on, life at IMC, as you can see, I have provided a few images just of our office for anyone who's keen to visit. We do have a bunch of different programs, etc., for you to perhaps get your foot in the door here. But at IMC, we are really big on our super open culture. We do believe that there's no ceiling to learning. So, learning is really important to us, and we do encourage continuous learning, as well as the fact that you are surrounded by really smart people. So, you're constantly being intellectually stimulated, challenged with your ideas, and encouraged to challenge others as well. Another big aspect of, I guess, our culture at IMC is our really fast feedback loop. So you can propose an idea and get feedback on that straight away from senior management, which is one thing that we think is pretty cool about the company, that everyone is quite accessible. So moving on, here are a few images just of, I guess, life at IMC. It is quite a social workplace as well. For those who have done our internship before, we do the bridge climb often. We go to lawn bowls. We have something called a superhero day where we support Bear Cottage. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. If you're not, definitely Google Bear Cottage. It's a really cool charity. And then, of course, we also have a weekend away where the company take us away for an entire weekend. It's a absolute surprise. We don't know where we're going. And really, the idea of this is just to get to know your colleagues a bit more. And you are able to build those really strong connections, which I think is pretty cool. So moving on, in terms of the roles that we have available next year, for anyone who is interested in IMC, definitely keep an eye out on our website. We do recruit for a trader, software engineer, and hardware engineer internship, and all those positions open at the beginning of next year. And that's it for me. So I just wanted to say I hope you guys all really enjoy the weekend. I have no doubt it will be a massive success, and we're really excited to be there on Monday and Tuesday with you all.
Thank you. Thanks for that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure everyone will yeah. Have a good
No
time,
worries at
hopefully.
all.
Yeah.
So Max, I might jump off now, but best of luck
Yep.
and definitely keep us updated on how things are going.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for that. Yeah, I'll go through some code stuff now, the interesting or boring stuff, depending on who you are. But yeah, thanks so much for that, Siobhan.
No worries. Bye. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye. Yes, let's go. All right. Well, we had that. On to the data release. The interesting stuff. So, I'm 99% sure these pictures are the same as what I've given you, but trust what I've given you. So these here are basically, right, as you may have seen, we've got a bunch of different instruments, we're calling them, and they're kind of like university inspired to some degree. Some are more easy to profit from than others, and some are obviously more difficult. essentially, I guess what we've got going on here is that this represents 1 year. So you can see it's 365 days. And you'll essentially get given the data for 1 year, and you can presume that the same trends should be exhibited in the following year. So you can assume that for the most part, whatever you've seen in the first year will be continued to a reasonable degree. And I'll comment on those individually. But yeah, and I'll release spec sheets tonight. They're just not published onto the website yet, but I've got them. I'll have a document for each one of these, which will essentially reiterate what I've told you today. So I'm not giving you a bunch of text on the slideshow. I'll give you documents of that afterwards. I'll upload those onto the website, and you'll be able to find those there. But I'll just cover it more briefly now, essentially. So first of all, we've got the UQ dollar. That's the first year of it. And then you'll be, oh yeah, sorry, I should clarify. You're tested on the unseen data. So this isn't included in the testing. So when we test you and we like adjudicate and see essentially how much money you've earned, we don't test you on this year. We test you on the unseen proportion, which should be represented fairly enough by these first year sets. So UQ dollar, you can see it's a pretty standard kind of problem where you can see it's centered around kind of $100, for example. And most of the time it's either going above or below, but always returning to $100. So the inspiration behind the UQ dollar is, well, yeah, a UQ dollar. So that should be a more beginner-friendly one. And then similarly, we've got another one here, thrifted jeans. So this one here, without getting into too much details of exactly what's happening, the idea is representing something that's just generally going up in price. And so, yes, it is generally going up. Yeah, and the exact trend, if there is a trend, that's up to you to identify if you choose to do that. And then moving on to the next one. So Fintech token, this one's a little bit more tricky, but you can probably see a few interesting things about it. So the inspiration behind this, obviously, with UQ Fintech, and this is kind of like crypto inspired to some degree, hence like the obscure volatility, I guess you could say, or whatever you want to call that. But basically, there's a few different ways that you can profit from this one. That's kind of up to you to figure out. But this, as you can see, only the first year. So with this one, you've got to be, I guess, careful in the sense that the first year may not look like the second year, as it is, I guess, inherently some sort of volatile random asset. So I guess with these assets, kind of treat them as if it were the real life item. They are kind of representing something. For example, if you saw this as a cryptocurrency, you wouldn't necessarily go like, oh, look, it's going down, so I'm just going to like keep piling on it going down. You've got to have, I guess, some sort of algorithmic backing to your decision making. So if you were to just, let's say, sell this because it's going down, you've got no guarantee that actually in the next year it will continue to do that, for example. However, there are some instruments which it might be the case that they actually do continue on in the second year to a degree. So now I've said that, moving on to coffee. So this is another one, generally going up in price, but with a few interesting things. So I can't comment too much on this graph as it's up to you how to profit from this one, but the next instruments will be a little bit more relevant. So what do you need to make up coffee? Well, you need milk and coffee beans. So you can trade all three of these ones that I've just mentioned. However, it's worth noting, I guess, the viability of trading each of them and what one is potentially more profitable or less profitable. So yeah, you might be looking at that the coffee price is somewhat representative of these two things in some sort of combination, I guess, without getting too specific. And in this specification documents, I will release a couple figures in there which will say roughly how much of these were to be used in a to make a coffee, if that makes sense. And you can also think of it realistically, because when I've done these pricings, they've been somewhat representative of the real life product. So if you've got, if your milk, for example, you're saying that you need 100 liters of milk, so this milk is representative of a liter. If you're saying that you need 100 liters of milk per one coffee, well, that ratio doesn't really make sense if you think about it. So the ratios should be somewhat realistic and use that as a bit of a guideline to, if you're kind of going in the wrong direction. So there's a relationship between these two and the coffee. essentially is what I'm saying. Yeah. And so essentially here, we've got Goober Eats as well. And so I can't say how, but I can say that the guy that works at the coffee place, so the guy that's making your coffee, he's the same guy that is delivering your Goober Eats. So it may be worth looking between these ones and Goober Eats to see if there's any notable correlations or whatever you may find. So Goober Eats is a bit more of an interesting one, but it does tie into those ones I just mentioned. This one doesn't tie in necessarily, but is one of the examples I said where it may look quite similar the following year. And the inspiration is this is a more simple kind of like a time series problem, I suppose, but it's a very simple one, where you can assume that the following year will look quite similar to this current year, which I'm showing right now. The exact movements may vary. However, I'm sure you can see a few standout elements about that one. So yeah, that's kind of self-explanatory, but that's a more introductory level problem. And then moving on to Fun Drink, it's kind of a continuation, or should I say, it's more of an extension of the red pens problem. So the red pens problem is quite basic in the sense of the time series that are exhibited, in the sense that it's a reoccurring, it's representative of seasonality. So I've kind of tried to align it here with the university semester, keeping in this university universe, if that makes sense. So Fun Drink is no different. That may or may not be indicative of a alcoholic beverage. However, if you do some analysis on this one, there are a few things that you can find that are interesting about this problem. And I guess if I had to give any hints, I would say that any kind of trends or patterns you may see in real life, that general thing may continue to be exhibited in this data in a general sense. So that it's another kind of a time series problem, if you will. So that's all of the different types of data. So I'm sure you guys will have some fun, or maybe not fun, looking through those and trying to figure out how exactly you'll profit from them. But I guess let's move on to like the simulation environment. And so I've reworked this a little bit over the time that I've been working on this. And so essentially, this is a solution. It's not. It doesn't. I can't tell you how I necessarily did this, and I can also tell you that some of the things in this image won't be applicable. Like you won't be able to replicate. But just as a being able to show you, I guess, what you would be looking at when you run a simulation of your algorithm. This is the output, or one of the outputs that you'll get. So it'll essentially show you all of the products you've traded and their individual kind of profit they generated you here. So that's each different one. So you can see, like for Fintech token, it's generated me this much or whatever, you know. So these might all generate you different amounts, let's say. And then you can see here, this is your cumulative total on the left. And so that's obviously going to be the all of these added together. So your overall performance. And you've actually got a daily limit. So on any given day, your company, let's say that you're operating under, it's essentially said that on any given day, you can't have a position worth more than $500,000. So you're actually limited in your position size to $500,000 on any given day. And if you submit orders that violate this, all of your orders for that day will not go through, essentially. So you must stay within that. But then also, there's individual position limits for each thing that you can trade, for example. So it's unrealistic for you to say, own 4,000 liters of milk. I mean, it's not really realistic. So I've imposed limits on these instruments so that it remains somewhat fair, somewhat realistic, but also so it remains balanced in the terms of, I guess, the valuation or the worth of a given trading strategy. So there are individual limits, and you'll be able to see this in the code, and I'll go through it as well. Then you've got your daily individual P&L, so you can just kind of see what kind of makes you money where, if that's of interest to you. And then this one here, it's very full of things. This is all toggleable, by the way. This is a screenshot. So when you actually get this in the simulation, you can click on these and it will remove it from all the graphs. So you can look at a specific instrument. So if you're trying to find out, was I just buying milk all the time? Did I ever even sell milk? You would toggle everything off except for the milk, and you would look into the historical instrument position, and it will tell you, were you 0%, so no position at all? Were you negative 100, so you were sold to the limit of milk? Or you were 100, you had bought as much milk as you could. So that's what these all kind of mean, and I'm sure when you play around with it, you'll get a better idea of what exactly that kind of means or looks like when you do particular things. So here's a sample implementation. This is in the algorithm.py file, which is what you'll submit. This is essentially the function that is used to get your positions, or you'll return the positions that you want. So you'll always be able to get the positions that you want, given that you're not violating any of the limits. There's no orders. You don't have to say, I want to buy at this price or sell at this price. You're always going to get the current price. And you just have to basically say, how much of that particular thing do you want at that given time? And so in this implementation, essentially, it is commented there so that you can see it. But just to walk through this for people that aren't so familiar with a coding background. So essentially, you can get the current positions, which is all your current positions. So that might be, you've got negative 200 milk because you've sold 200 liters of milk, let's say. And it's a dictionary that has all of the different instruments. So it'll say red pens, negative 200 or positive 200 or 0 or whatever it might be. And it'll have that for all the different ones. And so what I'm essentially doing here is I've declared a desired positions that I'm going to output, because this is what I want to trade. I'm declaring my trade. It's got nothing in it right now. So I'm going to loop through every type of instrument in the position limits. So that's going to go through every tradable instrument. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually just setting them all to 0, because you need to submit a position for everything, even if it is 0. So that's the first step to do, essentially. And where it says implement code here to decide what positions you want, this is essentially where you can put trading logic. So in this instance, I've said my desired position that I want for the product, thrifted jeans, I'm going to set that to the maximum amount. I want to buy as much thrifted jeans as possible on this day. So I've gone into the position limits and found thrifted jeans in the position limits. And I've essentially, that's going to return me the maximum position I can have for that particular instrument. So I'm essentially saying I want as much of thrifted jeans as I can get. That's what that's saying. And then it's returning this. And so my simulation will run that. It will see that everything else is 0, but I've wanted the maximum amount of thrifted jeans, which will be, let's say, 150. And then it will process that for me for that day. And so if we were to run that code, this is the screenshot again, slightly different to what if you actually ran it yourself, because I was developing it during these screenshots. But essentially you would get something that looks somewhat like this. You would have everything else you didn't trade, but you would have been buying thrifted jeans as much as possible. And it ends up looking like this. And then it would also print out on the bottom of the console, it would print out how much money that would have made you. You can see everything 0, thrifted jeans, 28,000 in this instance. Approved libraries, you can go back through this at your own leisure, essentially. But you'll get a folder structure that looks like this, essentially. Simulation, algorithm, and the data. And it will output a saved image of your simulation results. So once you've run that simulation, that screenshot I showed you before, like this one, it will save that. So you've got a copy of the last one you ran. And yeah, that's approved libraries that you're allowed to use, but you can pretty much use any, just like email about it, unless it's something really kind of bad. Yeah, probably would be fine. And so accessing all of that stuff, so the data, the code, all that stuff, you'll be able to. It is on the GitHub. If I go to that right now, it's there. You can get it all right now. I'll put this in the Discord. I'll also put it on the website, so it'll be linked on the website. But yep, that's how you can get all the files basically that you need. And then I'll do a quick live demonstration, I guess, of how you would interact with the with all the stuff. So let me do that. So let's say I've got, can I bring this across? Definitely can. All right, let's clear this. All right, so I'm using a Conda environment. You don't need to necessarily worry about this. You can kind of do this however you want. Feel free to ask for help. We'll definitely be able to help. And so I'm going to essentially, I've got a virtual environment that I'm going to, this is not essential. This is what I've done. And so you will need to install a few prerequisites. So matplotlib, numpy, maybe there's a few other ones I've kind of forgotten, but we will find out in real time because I haven't practiced this or whatever. I've kind of gone to show you, I guess, what some trouble you might experience or you might not experience, depending on how familiar you are with stuff. But you'll install the requirements, which is matplotlib, numpy, that stuff. It'll do that, I guess. Hopefully, it doesn't take very long. And then, great, I'll open it in Visual Studio Code so that we can see the files, which we've already seen before, but so you'll have this, and essentially this is where you'll implement your, you can see that. This is where you'll implement your algorithm in this one. It's called algorithm.py. This is what you'll submit in an email before the due date, like before the deadline. So the simulation, feel free to look through this and stuff. This is what we'll be testing you on. If you find any errors with this, definitely let me know. You can read through this at your own time. It's not necessary to understand how that one works. But essentially, here you can see that the total daily budget is $500,000. And you're allowed, these are how much you're allowed of any given instrument. So 35 Fintech tokens, 10,000 fun drinks, 40,000 red pens, 400 thrifted jeans, those kind of things. So these ones here, it will tell you, it will always tell you if you violate any of these, but you'll also see it in your graph because your graph will have weird behavior typically. But those are the limits you have to abide by. And yeah, read through that if you wish to kind of understand what's happening. But that's what we'll run. The data is all in here. It's all CSVs. You can use Excel or whatever you wish. This one here is a bit goofy, but don't worry about that. This should all be legit, basically. But I'll double check that when I get home. Simulation results, we'll go into there. That's fine. And so your algorithm, basically. So I guess a sample of something that you could do, so that I'm just buying thrifted jeans all the time. What if I wanted to sell thrifted jeans, let's say? Well, I would not want to buy the maximum. I would want to sell the maximum. So I'd want to go negative in position. So you can make your position go negative, right? So I'll save that, go into here, and I'll run that with Python simulation.py. And it will say import pandas because I need pandas, so I'll need to install pandas quickly. Hopefully it doesn't take very long. And so this is kind of what you might go through if this is your first time doing this kind of thing. If anyone's struggling, I'll definitely make a guide or help you through just getting set up, because I know getting set up can be like the hardest part for a lot of people. So now hopefully it runs. Might not. Let's see. Oh, great. So it's run. And let's see what we've done with selling thrifted jeans. Well, a word for the wise, don't sell them. Yeah, so you can see, well, we've lost money because we did the opposite of what we did before, which is exactly what we want. And so you can see here, let's say you've got your thrifted jeans right here. You can turn that one off. It's a bit hard to do because the screen's like super tiny and I'm on a laptop. But you can click it and so you can, if you've got multiple, it'll make it easy for you to do a bit of inspection without doing a whole lot of code yourself. It'll make it a bit easier. And so yeah, it tells you your stuff here. You can look through and see on every day your total P&L. So that's across all the instruments for that particular day. And so let's say I want to sell more than the. Let's say I would like to basically. Let's say I want to do this but I want to do like a little bit. Let's say I want to exceed the limit, hypothetically, which you wouldn't want to do. But if you were to exceed the limit, what it would look like would that before that day, it will set that as an invalid, essentially. So you'll see it in this log here, and if you look at your output from your simulation, you'll see that it's done nothing. Yeah, pretty much, it's done nothing for you. So that's cool. Yeah, so I guess I'll release some on the help sessions on the weekend. I'll probably be able to help on like and the other exec as well. I'm giving them, I guess, like some basic solutions to get you started on any of the particular problems. Yeah, but for the most part, it should be somewhat self-explanatory, and I'll release a few of those solutions in the documents where I'm introducing it. So I say, this is UQ dollar, this is the backstory behind UQ dollar, and it will have a sample solution, and yeah, so that'll be in there as well. I think that's enough of a live demo for now. Let's see what else you got in the slides, if anything. And so yeah, submit it by Sunday at 6 p.m. because it's on the website. I think it's like every 10 minutes that you're late is like a deduction of 10% or something. I can't remember exactly, but something like that. So don't submit it late. Email it to my email address, and like at some point, either email me saying like, this is my team, this is who's in our team, or just when you submit it, say I was part of this team, and list all the people. So yeah, you only have to submit the algorithm.py file, and we'll run that all on Monday and have it ready for the presentations as to who won the whole thing. And yeah, presentations will be at Prentice Building 216. Any questions from the audience? Question? Yeah, you're getting one price for the whole day. Yeah. Was that what you're after, or was there something else? Yeah, okay. No. You're taking positional. Yeah, it's positional. It's more about directionality to a degree, essentially. Because market making, obviously, you're taking, let's say you're taking both sides or whatever. In this, you're not doing that exactly, but the same, I guess, thinking skills is applied. That given an expected value where you expect the price to be, when the price isn't there, you're typically expecting some sort of reversion to that price or something in that nature. So it's more directional. And the reason I went with that and didn't put a focus on market making is that the market making concept for a beginner can be a little bit full on kind of. And I think that in a lot of industries, you can still benefit from algorithmic skills. So if you're in like basically any industry, these analysis skills of data analysis techniques are very useful in whatever application it may be. However, the market making stuff is a bit more niche and a bit more directed at trading. So for that reason, for this competition at least, less of a focus on market making, more of a focus on understanding what the data is doing, what direction it's going, what are the correlations, I guess, between it. Yeah. Any other questions or things I might have missed? Because there's probably a lot of things. But yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, I should have said that. Winner is just money, because in real life, no one cares what your Sharpe ratio is. They care how rich you are. So yeah, whoever makes the most money wins. I don't care if it's the most volatile strategy or not. That's kind of up to you. There should be limited ways for you to do volatile strategies, as demonstrated by the perfectly straight line that I did at the start of the presentation with the sample solution. But there may be ways. So if you find them and you think it's busted, let me know, and we can maybe like moderate that a bit. But generally speaking, it would just be like pure profit. So if you win by 50 cents, you win by 50 cents. But we do reserve the right, obviously, to if you've got like a really trash solution, we will mediate that a little bit. But that shouldn't be able to happen. So yeah, it will just be based off whoever makes the most money. Any other queries? Yes, another query. No transaction costs. And the reason for the no transaction costs is that, once again, it's more of an algorithmic focus on being able to tell what you're doing. It's being able to understand what is happening with the data. It's not so much about is it profitable or is it not? Because what you will come to find is that there is an optimization problem because you can't buy everything fully. You will run out of money. If you were to buy everything, it would be roughly like 600,000 or 700,000, let's say, at any given point, if you were trying to trade everything somewhat efficiently. So in reality, you actually can't trade everything all the time. If you're trying to be perfectly optimal, you will have to sacrifice some instruments at the right times. So some days, some instruments will be more profitable than others, or at least that should be the case. If that's not the case, then I might have buggered something up, but that should be the case. So yeah, more questions from the audience before, yes. No, no, it's all good. You can go negative 500,000 and come back or whatever. Yeah, it's basically just directionality based. It's not there's no kind of like penalties or things like that involved because I thought that make it more of an analysis problem than a trading problem to a degree. Yeah. Cool. Say anything now or hold your peace. Yep. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. I hope you got some food and or drink. Take some drink. I know that we kind of ran low on food towards the end. I didn't expect it. I kind of didn't expect so many people to come, so that's really cool. So thanks for coming, everyone. Yeah, good luck with it all. I'll update the website very shortly and find a code on the GitHub. Thanks everyone.